On this episode, we're recorded live at the Festival Centre in Market Drayton, and we're answering the question, can Christians have premonitions? Come on!
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of TGI Monday. For the first time ever, we are filming in front of a live audience. You might be able to see them behind me. You can all wave at yourselves. There we go, they're there, they're real people dragged in from the highways and byways of Market Drayton. We're thrilled that you've come. We're going to film an episode as we do it normally, so for those of you watching at home, hopefully they won't be too distracting. We've got a question today from someone who I believe is in the audience here. Wynne, give us a wave. There's Wynne. Oh, we've lost her.
Oh, there's Wynne.
There's Wynne.
Hey, it's a big cheer for Wynne. Hey.
And Wynne has asked, can Christians have premonitions? Can Christians have premonitions?
Never saw that question coming.
But it's an interesting question, isn't it? This whole idea of things which we normally associate with the supernatural and how they relate to faith. So I just wonder, have any of you ever had premonitions or something of that kind in your own experience?
I've had one or two weird things like that. Well, there's one which was a family member of mine. Kept on having dreams about looking after a baby all the time. And she kept on having dreams about a baby, and she started writing stories about Di the Dragon and Rhys and Di the Dragon. And just after that, as the months went on, then her daughter had a baby unexpectedly. So she kept having a recurring dream about it all the time.
And sorry, what was the relationship with the dragon?
Oh, the relationship with the dragon, Di the Dragon, was his first, the child's first toy that was given to him was a dragon.
Okay.
And he was called Di the Dragon.
There you go.
And the child's name was Rhys.
There you go. Wow, anybody else had an experience like that, or anything that you couldn't explain? No.
I think lots of people have those sorts of things. I mean, deja vu is another one. There's loads of weird stuff that we can't explain. And I think the question, can Christians have premonitions, is, well, Christians are just people, so all sorts of things happen to all sorts of people. And actually, when we start exploring what those things might be, then the Christian language can give us something. And when we look at biblical tradition, there's all sorts of there's definitely supernatural stuff going on. It's there's all sorts of ways that we seem to have this sort of gap between our bodies and our faith lives, and spirituality seem to have little overlaps, and there's various stories that do that. But I think we haven't got to name everything and say, yes, oh yeah, that's allowed and that's not allowed, and we need to define exactly what that is, because that really isn't even possible.
It seems to me that it comes under the definition of prophecy. Maybe a kind of, we don't tend to use the word premonition, do we, in the church? And maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. Because we're in Pentecost, it's very relevant now, isn't it, to think about things like this. And certainly in the Old Testament, prophecy, thinking about the future, was probably the most important ministry in terms of the direction that Israel was taking. And what we saw at Pentecost is that God's Spirit would be passed to all people, and our sons and daughters will prophesy, and our old men will have visions, and young men will dream dreams. Something like that, wasn't it? It's prophecy of Joel that was talked about by Peter. So I certainly think...
this morning, mate.
Yeah, I know, but we're in front of a live audience today, and it's the afternoon. So I think that, yes, the answer's got to be yes, we do believe in it, but I would want to caveat it slightly and suggest that Christ is our fullest revelation. That's what we have, and we've been given the Scripture, and He's revealed to us in Scripture. So, and certainly we haven't got power over the future, and when we see often astrologers or psychics offering to give premonitions of the future, a lot of that is about trying to take control of our own future. And we don't have that power as Christians to do that. We have to put our trust in God with our future.
Well, I've done that. I went to Derek Acora here a few years ago.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first thing was, he was really funny, right? Because I thought to myself...
Who is he, sorry?
Derek Acora. He's from Most Daunted, and he's like a psychic guy, isn't it, right? Yeah. She said, I came to see him here, right? And I was laughing about it. I said, I bet he'll look for a John, right? And the first thing he comes out and he goes, I'm here now. And is there a John in the audience? Anyone know a John? And I thought, well, I know about 8. You know, but I did nudge the bloke next door to me and I said, well, my grandfather was called Guelville, but obviously he's coming through to him, like, but he can't pronounce it, so he's having a bit of trouble. You know.
I think
it's to do with, but I think the thing is with it, it's to do with power, with prophecy. And also as well, in Corinthians, we talk about how someone, when they do have a prophecy, there's got to be someone there who will interpret it. And also as well, it's got to be for the good of the church. So what's the fruit of the prophecy?
Yes.
The fruit of the prophecy with the person I was talking about is she was maybe more able then to help the person who had had the child unexpectedly.
Yeah.
That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was going to pick that up actually, Dan, when you mentioned prophecy, because often prophecies in the Bible, particularly in the Old Testament, weren't given to say this is what the future will be like. They were given as warnings to say if you don't change, if you don't do something about it, this is what will happen. And so it's not necessarily the same as a premonition, which we would normally think of as a prediction of what is going to happen. It's a warning so that you can change, so that something won't happen. So we don't have to judge it necessarily on whether it came true or not.
Do you mean like if you say to the kids or something, they're here today now, you say to them like, you know, if you don't stop mucking about, you're going to be on the stairs. That's a prophecy.
And if they actually do stop mucking about,
well,
they don't end up on the stairs. And so you could say, well, it didn't come true, but actually it was effective in what it was supposed to do.
And that business of interpreting stuff that you mentioned and about fruit, I think is really relevant because sometimes it's just a feeling in your gut and you don't know what it is. But it's always very helpful just to think, okay, well, is this making me feel afraid? Well, love and fear, as the Christian tradition tells us, that love drives out fear. So if something leads to love, then it's something to pursue. But also trying to interpret things concretely. I mean, how many, let's say churches have been shredded through trying to interpret, let's say, Revelation, which you could perceive as some sort of premonition, and it's pretty unhelpful. So I think over-interpreting or trying to rule things categorically out or categorically in is not particularly helpful. But in terms of the question, yes, Christians certainly can. Well, anybody can, because you know we have a God who speaks, and I mean, you could get really into the whole time-space analogy. And
let's not do that.
Can I ask you a question, though, as priests and that, right? As ministers, sometimes you do have that thing about you're going to go and do something, you have a thing that pops into your head that says, go and do so-and-so, go and phone so-and-so, go and visit so-and-so, go and do this, go and do that. And that happens to me a lot, all the time. And if I listen to that little voice that says, go and visit such a person, I went to visit someone early on in my ministry, and I thought, that was just silly, I'm not going to go and listen to that. But I thought, no, my training incumbent told me to do. I went around like that, went and knocked on this person's door, and her baby had just died.